Well, hello and welcome to Market Pulse. I'm Priyank Lakha and you're watching Bloomberg UTV. Okay, so that's a view coming from SocGen out there. But when we're talking about the currency space itself, Abhishek Goenka, the CEO at India Forex, is now joining us in our Worli studios. Abhishek, thanks for joining us. When we talk about the way currency markets have actually shaped up, we've been listening to SocGen's view as to how the euro price is actually shaping up. So let's start off first with a global perspective. What's the outlook on dollar and euro in the near term?
See, overall, if you see what has happened near term, after the interest rate hike yesterday by the Europe guys, the European major, especially the euro, actually went down till 1.4220 levels, and then it's again gone up. You see, post the hike now, the further interest rate expectations hike in euro is kind of delayed now. Now the kind of scenario which is developing is that euro should slightly go down towards the 1.4142 levels or even further down, and if those levels get broken, euro is in a downward trajectory heading towards 1.40 and below. The major reason because of which euro should go down is the problems in the overall eurozone is still not reduced. If you see, the problems are still there with the pigs nation, and even though we have got a temporary bailout for the Greece, I think there has been some credit rating downgrades. When like recently we saw a downgrade by the Portugal bonds by the Moody's. So I think the overall the eurozone scenario is not too great. And in terms of dollar, if you talk, recently definitely dollar has taken a beating, but overall if you see in a medium term, dollar is likely to start gaining because so the overall if you see the global perspective, the problems are across everywhere. In case of the eurozone, the problems have recently spreading across the various nations in the eurozone. In case of Japanese yen, we have definitely not come out of the woods as of now. In case of Asia, if you look at China is again slowing down. India is having its own deficit story. So I think over a medium term, maybe in a short term dollar could be slightly strong, but in short term dollar could be slightly weak, but in the medium term we feel that dollar should again start picking up.
Let's focus on the rupee also, because today you actually see a rupee strengthen against the dollar is what we've actually noticed. In that context, when you look at the way the equity markets have also shaped up, you've seen a strong amount of inflows actually coming in. So in that context, how are you actually looking at the rupee, and what kind of an outlook do we have from a near-term perspective?
See, in the near term, if you see, the rupee has definitely been a little stronger because we have seen a significant amount of inflows to the extent of more than $2.2 billion in such a short time frame. Apart from that, a very, very important factor, as we earlier heard in the channel, was that the interest rates in India has been continuously increasing. If you compare the interest rates with the other nations, talk about the other G4 like the US or the Europe or the Japan or the China, in all the places, the UK, the interest rate scenario is something where either they have increased to an extent where they're going to stop the interest rate hikes now. In case of China also, the growth is slowing down and they might be on the upper end of the curve. But in India, the inflation is still a very big concern, and the inflation is high, and the interest rates is picking up, because of which there are a lot of flows coming in from across the world, despite the factor that we are seeing a high inflation and a high deficit in India. So I think the major driver in case of India is, number one is dollar, which became a little weak in the recent times. Secondly, we saw the hike in interest rate, which is actually pulling up the cheap liquidity which is available in the US markets or the various markets across the globe. So I think in the short term, rupee could be slightly strong. It could be head towards maybe a 44, 20, 30 levels. But in a medium term, I think again when the flows kind of dry out a little bit and we see the deficit mounting again, then in that case the rupee might slightly go weaker towards the 44, 70, 80 levels. So I think that's an excellent level for the exporters to actually go short for long dated forwards. Maybe when the premiums are so high, around 2 rupees 40 paisa, 50 paisa premiums in the long term, it's an excellent level to go short. And for importers, I think 44, 20, 30 odd levels, good levels to go long.
Okay, Abhishek, fair enough. We'll leave it there. Thank you for coming along and joining us with your perspective as to what you're making of the rupee, as well as the global currency outlook going from a near-term perspective. That's a view coming from India Forex out there. Well, moving on now. Well, it's time to slip a short break. Coming up on the other side.